We are.
Hey, today is Thursday, March 19th. Welcome to the regular scheduled board meeting of the Pocahontas School Board. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Arbuckle.
Do we have any public comments, Abby? All right, we don't have any public comments for so the first item on the agenda is the determination of term limits. So to comply with Act 503 of 2025 and a previously approved resolution by this board regarding staggered term lengths, the newly elected board members shall draw lots for one member to serve an initial 4-year term, while 2 members serve an initial 6-year term. So I have a little baggie that has 3 marbles in it. 2 of the marbles are exactly the same. It's like we're gonna play the little game, one of these things is just different, right? So
Ladies first. I'll take the last one.
we'll take whatever's left.
That's right.
One of y'all are different.
That means
What?
One of them are
I got
different.
4? Okay. Blue?
blue.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
You gonna keep
we
yours?
will we'll make note in the minutes of that Brent will serve an initial 4-year term. Jeannie and Amanda will serve 6-year terms. And then that will put us on the rotation where every 2 years, no more than 2 board members will be elected at any one time. The next piece is the reorganization of the board. So in accordance with Arkansas Code 613-618 and the Pocahontas School District Policy 1.2, which addresses board organization and vacancies, the board shall elect officers including president, vice president, and secretary. And then we have a motion to name the board dispensing officer. So we would just need the board would just need a motion, and I assume you want to just do it kind of down the order. So we'll start with president.
She looks good sitting right there, as far as I'm concerned.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, we've got a motion for Jennifer to serve as president. Do we have a second?
Is that what you want to
I
do?
don't care. It doesn't matter.
I'll second it.
Don't give her a choice, Chris.
Okay, so this is after, I'm going to do this one, then you get to do the rest of them.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second for Jennifer to serve as president. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no.
Should I say no?
Motion carries.
Need a nomination for the vice president. Need a motion for anybody. What do I? Anybody?
Yeah, you're asking for a motion.
Asking for a motion for vice president. I'm going to make a motion for Chris.
Second?
All those in favor? Motion and a second for vice president for Chris. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? There you go. Now we need a motion for somebody to have the secretary position. Anybody want to make a nomination?
What are you looking at?
This is the hard part.
I'll make a motion to nominate Brent as secretary.
Have a motion to nominate Brent as secretary. We have a second. Motion and a second for Brent to be secretary. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so item 5.1 and 5. Oh, yeah, I forgot the dispersing officer.
Yeah.
I will make a motion to make the dispersing officer tied along with the presidency of the board.
Have a motion.
Second?
Motion and a second for the board dispersing officer to tie along with the president of the board. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so
I didn't want to have to come up here and sign all those checks every month.
what we'll do is
I
I'll
know
fill
y'all
in.
love me so much.
We'll fill in the name and the information that we need to, and then we will have it signed, and I will send it down to where it needs to go, and then you'll need to go to the bank once we get it all set up to sign down there.
Okay.
All right. Item 5 is the approval of the minutes. So you have in your packet the minutes from the regular board meeting on February 16th, as well as the special board meeting on March 2nd. Obviously, be happy to answer any questions if you have them. Otherwise, we would just need a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 16th board meeting and the March 2nd board meeting. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6.1 is our presentation of reports. I thought this evening, since last month was our parent-teacher conferences, I've invited the principals from each building to give you a quick 3 to 5 minute rundown on their summaries from parent-teacher conferences. So do we want to start at the top and go down, or you want to start at the bottom and go up? All right, Christian, you're up.
He jumped up quick.
He wants to get home and watch basketball. That's what he wants to do.
The Hogs were in command whenever I left.
Yep, good. So, well, appreciate you allowing me to be here tonight to talk about our state conferences from the end of February. So a couple of those February 26th and 27th, one from 3:30 to 6:30, and one from 9 to 3. The purpose of those, again, is just to help students prepare for classes for next year and those post-secondary pathways that they want to follow once they graduate. And so, as far as making contact, we attempt to make contact with every parent. We sent home a letter with every student during Redskin time the week prior to said conferences, and on there it is detailed, hey, pick a time please and the date, or if you can't make it, phone number, working phone number, email that we can reach you at. Of course, that's not always reciprocated, but we were successful in reaching about 55% of our parents or guardians, which I don't necessarily have any data to back that up right now, but moving forward, we'll have that information saying, hey, we're improving, or we need to work on those things as we move forward. So, just some common barriers for attendance that I asked teachers when they were, trying to figure out how to best reach our parents. A lot of that was just a work conflict, or we didn't have a working cell phone number or an email that we could reach parents at. So a lot of our parents tend to communicate through Messenger and some of those things, and so it is harder to reach them. As far as that goes. We did see a lot of success with the ones that we could reach by phone that just couldn't make it up here, so we did contact a lot through the phone, and then we're able to get a verbal with the parents, hey, we're good with this schedule for next year. Some celebrations or some success and takeaways that we had there. A lot of the parents and the teachers commented that very positive interactions between the teachers, the students, the parents, a lot of good conversations about, they were thankful for the guidance that they were provided from the teachers. I had a lot of good conversations with parents myself about, just options for next year, because things are constantly changing with requirements for graduation. And so just being able to help parents work through that was a very positive experience. And so many students, like the teachers reported too, they already come into it knowing kind of, hey, here's the path I want to go, just help me figure out, is this my best option to get there? And so it was very, very successful, very positive interactions with parents and students. And so just some trends that we saw in our post-secondary plans. We saw a lot of interest in our CTC program. We sent home sent an email out to teachers and then released it to students in the current credit forms for next year. We did that last week and sent those out this week. And so we've already seen a lot of kiddos go to Ms. Stewart getting those forms and going to teachers and getting a recommendation letter for that. And so a lot of success, a lot of excitement there for our CTC program. We have a lot that we're inquiring about current credit opportunities. We've got a great new opportunity with Black River through a certificate of general studies to help our kiddos get some more money on the Challenge Scholarship. So there's a lot of inquiries around that with the new graduation with merit distinction. And those opportunities there, and then just a lot of inquiries about trades, which kind of falls back into that CTC program. We don't usually get a whole lot about enlistment at SEG, but we do offer every opportunity for our military to come in and just meet with those kiddos, and Redskin time has been a good thing for that this year as well. So Do you guys have any questions for me as far as SEG goes and how that went?
Does it look like? I appreciate it,
Yep,
sir.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, going down the list, we'll have Ms. Miller share a little bit about the junior high parent-teacher conferences.
We can just copy and paste a lot of what he said. In all seriousness, we try to model the junior high conferences as more of a secondary 7 through 12 model. So a lot of what Christian has talked about is what it's like out here as well. We had the same times. Parents were welcome to come. The main focus of these conferences is the SEG plans, which is the student engagement growth plans that the students make. They make them also down at the middle school level, but it starts to become a bigger conversation as we're going into junior high, like Christian said, as we are building those goals and looking at what those courses and pathways are going to be moving into 8th and 9th grade. So a lot of conversation is around that. Something that we started this year at the junior high is we have an advisory time, which meets weekly on Mondays, for about 25 minutes. And the students go to this advisor every single Monday to do a vast majority of things. But one of the main focuses that we wanted when we started implementing Capturing Kids' Hearts was relationship building and being able to have teachers get to know these students so that they can help them with the goal and success part of this time. So we got to see that into fruition when they came and made their schedules. This was also an opportunity for parents to go see the teachers at all the teachers' classes. So it was kind of a dual purpose. It was, let's talk about schedules and let's talk about goals for next year, but let's also communicate about what's going on good and where there's improvement for this year. We did have a really good turnout. We had 262 families contacted. That was by way of in-person as well as phone call communication. Back in the fall, I do have the numbers. We had 104 families back in the fall who came. So we have seen an upward trend. And I do believe that the advisory process and having those conversations of the importance of the students is what brought some of those parents here. We're just focusing on boosting family engagement and communication at the junior high level. Junior high students do not communicate all the time with their families, so that is something that we are trying to bridge the gap there. But as we move ahead, we're going to continue with our advisory structure, look for an increase in family communication and involvement coming in, and we're just going to see how we can support parents with their students moving forward. Do y'all have any questions for junior high?
I have a question. Part of a previous meeting was that this was closing the gap with our level 1s and level 2s. Were you able to reach out to most of the level 1s and level 2s to have a conference, or do you have an idea on how many of these levels?
Yes, we made one-way communication with every single level 1 and level 2 family member. Some of that was not reciprocated simply because of non-working telephone numbers, not returning the papers. We sent home a paper for a scheduled time, but one-way communication was made, and there was a lot that did come in, and we had a lot of conversations. We talked about, we opened up an Atlas prep program at the junior high, and that was something that we really pushed and promoted during that time, and we did see an increase in the number of students who started coming to that Atlas prep after we had those conferences. And I'll tell you, Ms. Lori Steinman was very instrumental in helping us with that.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Huh?
I should clap.
You, if you really want to.
I can.
All right, Chris, you're up. Talk a little bit about MDs.
MD Williams, a little bit different than the last two schools we heard. We say conferences, but we do sixth grade does some scheduling, but pretty good conference with about 61% show up in person, sign in. Another about 20 to 25% that we've made contact with, or a lot of them couldn't meet in person. Either on the Rooms app or telephone calls. Some of them we had some late, we've actually had some conferences this week, even where people have come in, they just couldn't be in. So we've had a pretty good conference. Something that sets this conference apart from like our fall conference. Most of our fall conference, when we have them, we don't really know our students very well yet. You know, new ones coming in. So this one was really a data-driven. All of our teachers had a sheet that had their current Atlas scores, last year's Atlas scores, their iReady scores, and we listed all those cut scores on there also. So a parent could look at, hey, I'm level 1, but I only needed 2 more points, or I needed 20 more points, or, you know, I was a level 3, but just by a point. So teachers could go over that, parents had that to look at, and all the teachers used that, which we don't have all that data in the fall sometime, it's all previous years, but this was really current. Of course, we had the grades, and kind of what we're doing about it, like what the action plan is. Hey, they're level 1, we're doing some RTI time, and we're doing iReady or whatever that plan was, different for each individual. But that's 250 that ended up attending in person, so that was a pretty good number. Some of the other things, counselors are always on during ours. They actually done 2 or 3 different referrals, so we got some more kids into counseling that we've been trying to get in touch with for a while. And also, all of our sixth grade get schedules this time of year. They have a few options, not quite the options that, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, but several different options of if they're going to be in sports and different things like that. And we were able to get everybody 100% in sixth grade, those schedules knocked out. So that was really good news. Usually we're calling and trying to get those with the signature parent stuff. And other thing we do each year, we always have a book fair at that time, and I think we raised about $2,300 in credit, which we take some of that. We have a little free library that's over there in front of the building. She takes a lot of her older books, puts in that to give away, and then she orders new books. So that's, of course, been a big hit because all new books in the little free library for kids to take home. And we do it with credit, so it's a good way to get quite a few new books in. Kids love it. So overall, I thought it was a really good conference. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, John, you're up.
I think you have that in front of you. We had overall 83% attendance, spring is usually lower than the fall. Our highest turnout was in second grade and preschool, above 90%. And this spring was about the Atlas scores, as you mentioned, the level 1s and above. Mostly focused on longer conferences with parents at the level 1, with students performing at the level 1. We even sent home packets with those parents to do more practice at home. And we discussed the promotion of third grade law with all K2, because we're looking at holding some of that accountability from third grade all the way down to kindergarten, instead of having all that stockpile into third. The intent is, if it's appropriate, we'd like to look at it at an earlier age. So that was where most of the time was spent in our conferences.
Any questions for Sean? Okay, thanks, sir. Okay, moving into our informational items. First one is item 7.1. We wanted to give you a little bit of information on the course choice program, which is new for this year. Craig and Christian and Bethany have been working with counselors to ensure that we are able to utilize this course choice program as it was required by the LEARNS Act. This was established by the LEARNS Act. It does expand access to high quality courses for all Arkansas students in grades 6 through 12. It's designed to enable kiddos to enroll in courses that might not be offered at their residence school, but it also supports personalized pathways. So one of the components is that parents and students do have the ability to take a course, for example, like at the high school, that we don't already offer. So let's say the kid wants to take French, right? We don't offer French. If it's offered in the catalog by one of the providers that the state has approved, because the state puts together the catalog, then a parent can bring that information, or the kiddo can bring that information to the counselor and say, I want to take French from this entity, and then we will set that up with them. We have been working to create I'm going to call it a partnership with Arkansas Virtual, because one of the things that I think might be difficult for us is there are, let's say there's 100 providers. If we have 50 kids that want to take a course from 50 different providers, it's going to make it very difficult for our parents to track that. It's going to make it very difficult for our counselors to track that. And so if we can implement this pseudo partnership, if you will, with Arkansas Virtual, and have the conversation when a student comes and says, I want to take French from this school or this entity, the conversation becomes, great, we'll get you in French. Why this? I mean, is there something special about this one, or would Arkansas Virtual meet your needs? And we feel like a lot of parents and a lot of kiddos are going to say, no, I don't really care where I take it, but I just like to take French. Okay, great, and it'll allow us to sort of streamline that for our students and our parents. One of the things that Arkansas Virtual does a really good job at is creating that virtual experience. So they have a really good platform. They are a public school. They're sort of our sister school, if you will, in the virtual space. We've done some other things with them. You see in your packet there that we do have some key deadlines and things that we have set as a district. That is allowable. The state gives us leeway to do that. And so because principals and counselors are working through the schedule plan right now, and they're going to be, the next step will be building their master schedule based on student requests. We put in a deadline for April 1st. Now, part of why that's important is because we will have to staff those rooms. So if a student says, I want to take French, and they're in 10th grade, then Christian's going to have to find a room and find an adult to supervise that, because it will have to be supervised. So that is going to be a challenge for us to make sure that we have in place not only a room and a roster for our teachers, but also rooms for these kiddos who want to take these who might want to take these virtual classes. Now, we can put multiple students who are taking different virtual classes in the same space, right? So we can have a kiddo taking French and a kiddo taking, I don't know, I'm going to make something Calc BC, and a kiddo taking, all sitting in the same space. And so there's no issues on that. So that does give us some flexibility. That'll be nice. Craig did design a document that'll be front-facing on our website that has the information that you see summarized here, trying to help parents understand that virtual learning requires a high degree of independence. I've done virtual learning before, and it is very easy to not be successful in virtual learning. It takes a high degree of discipline, and not all kiddos have that skill set. We will, as I told you, we'll provide a facilitator. Parents will be responsible for monitoring the student's academic progress. we will be responsible for putting the grades in the grade system, right? The one grade. So what'll happen is the Arkansas Virtual or whoever the provider is, they will give us a grade at 9 weeks and at semester, and we'll drop that one grade in. So if a parent has questions about how is my student doing, or why do they have A, B, C, D, or F, that is all going to be between the parent and that provider. We won't be able to answer any of those questions. You see that students who have an IEP or have a 504 will be open to them as well. We are encouraging parents and kiddos to think about scheduling, because some of the virtual courses may require I'm going to call it in person, but basically, a time where that kiddo is going to need to meet with that faculty member. And if they're also in band or, football or volleyball or some other activity, they're going to have to keep an eye on that. Again, that's going to be very individualized and independent at the household, the parent, student level.
Is this limited to classes that we don't offer, or are kids able to select, I want to take Algebra 3
So
on
that is
Arkansas Virtual?
That is a great question. At the high school, they are limited to only those things that we don't offer.
Okay.
At the junior high, because the building currently has an F grade, students can enroll in any course they want. So if a student says, I don't want to take Algebra 1 at Pocahontas Junior High, I want to take it from some other entity, then we have to allow them to do that. Now, when the school when that grade changes, then obviously that will change as well. Yes, ma'am. Any questions about the course choice program?
April 1st is pretty quick. So what's that, like 2 days after we come back from spring break? Okay. Will it stay that date every year? Is that the, or will that change?
Well, that's a date that we set based on our SEG and the schedule building. So it'll really it'll probably stay in that general area, but it might move a little bit based on the way we build schedules.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this has been seen to the students already, or has not? It has?
I believe it has at the high school and junior high. Has it?
We haven't sat in front and said, hey, here's what's going on. We plan to meet before we set we haven't put our schedule in the hack yet. But we plan to do that when we come back from spring break. So, because it was earlier this year, we kind of had to speed up our stuff.
So is that like a hard deadline, April 1st? I mean, 'cause you're only giving them 2 days.
Right.
I would say it would be, especially this first year, it'd be our intention to work with families. That would be our goal, because once we get we're going to build schedules based off what kids tell us they want to take.
Right.
And so the deeper we get into April and May, the more drastic those changes, those changes have more drastic consequences the deeper we get into it. Now, the state, let's just be transparent, right? The state says they're gonna allow kids to do that through, like, I think it's 1st of August or something like that. But they also said school districts can set their own timeline.
Yeah.
And so as I've gotten with and had conversations with other superintendents around the state, most of our school districts are setting an early date, April, mid-April, because everybody's building master schedules at that point.
Right. I think maybe the first year it probably won't be that big, but maybe as the years go, kids might say, oh, when I'm in 10th grade, I'm going to take French and Spanish, or, as a different foreign language, or a different science class that we don't offer, or something.
And I would say one of the bonuses or one of the advantages to, if we're having this conversation next year, is we will have done it for a year.
Yeah.
That information will be out a little quicker. From a district perspective, we didn't get this information until well into second semester ourselves, and so
Yeah.
we're kind of just working through this.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I have is, you said that they were in another class, so what if they're taking French, using that as the example, and that instructor wants to have a video conference in person at this set time, but they're already in another class at that time, and then they decide they're gonna do that at that time every day, how's that gonna work?
That we're gonna have to kind of monitor and adjust as we go through it.
When will the kids know, like, if let's say they sign up for this course, French being the example, when that course will actually meet during the day?
Well, that'll be up to whoever's providing that course to tell us that. So
I guess then, so what's gonna be the recourse or the options for the students at school if that teacher then comes back and sets their time to meet at a time where they already have a class that they can't miss? Is the school gonna be able to adjust to allow that kid to position themselves in
the short answer is I don't think I'm going to be able to answer that until we know what the schedule is going to look like and what that kid's schedule is going to be. Let's just be, transparent. If the kiddo's in, for example, football, volleyball, basketball, and they're in a class, and that class says, I want to meet, and it's smack dab in the middle of volleyball practice, then it's probably not going to go. I mean, then some decisions are going to have to be made. And again, that's not going to be that's not on us because we're not the provider of that. That's one of the challenges for having for example, a course choice kind of program where you can take that course from.
It seems very disorganized to me. It seems to me it would make more sense for the state to say, here are the hours during the day that these courses are going to be offered, could then adjust the schedules accordingly.
Well, most courses, I would say based on the experience, most courses aren't going to have face-to-face, in-person meetings on a regular basis, right? It's a virtual course. So there's going to be videos, there's going to be office hours, right? That teacher is going to have, and without knowing when those office hours are and, what the course is going to be, it's very difficult to be able to answer that question.
Gotcha. So it does appear like more of the courses are going to be more online, not necessarily personal.
Yeah.
Teachers in front of you on a computer.
Yeah, no, it's primarily virtual. So if I sent that a different signal, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
It is also possible for a student to take a full 7 hours at, for example, Pocahontas High School, and then take an additional 8th hour online, right? I mean, and so that is also a possibility for that kiddo if they want to do all those things and, for example, take French.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to 7.2. I wanted to, each year we have our facilities that are inspected by the state, and so what you have in your packet is you have a quick summary of the facility inspections from the state. I put on a couple of things in particular to draw your attention to that we are either actively working on or need to plan for. And so the two things that are on there currently are on the transportation maintenance building. We're currently adding the fuel tanks that need an emergency shutoff. So we have an emergency shutoff on our fuel tanks. They are inside the office. The state has told us that that's good. They want an emergency shutoff outside. So we are in the process of bringing in an electrician to install a fuel tank emergency shutoff valve on the exterior of the building. We expect that to be fully completed by the end of this week. So we're well on, we should have that knocked out. The other thing that the state noticed or pointed out was if you go into the kitchen and back cafeteria area, you will see that there is some settling going on with the walls and the foundation back there. The interior and exterior, there's some pretty good cracks through there, in some places 1.5 inches, a couple inches. And so we did have, I have two questions. We did have Foundation Pro, who did the work at MD, come over and take a look at that and give us a proposal. But I also got a hold of Todd, because I have some concerns, or I have some questions. If we fix that, then what's that going to do, if anything, to, like, how does that shift the structural integrity of other places within the building? And so in talking to Todd, he said, well, that would really be what he called a forensic structural engineer to come take a look at the building and just give us some feedback. Is it best to just address that one corner, and then if something else pops up, address that later? Or is it best to take a more holistic approach to the building? Because if we fix that one corner, it's going to cause us issues somewhere else. So right now, Todd is looking for that. We could go in and just fix it.
So the band room, the old band room is okay? Like it,
Well,
doesn't
see,
that run?
it doesn't have anything right now,
Okay.
right?
It
And
does run on
that's
the other side, right?
yeah. I mean, it's just right down here where the kitchen meets the cafeteria
Okay.
is where we're talking about. I do have some questions on if we come in and spend it's about $75,000 to shore up that corner. Are there going to be any ramifications later on to, like, the band room? I don't know, and I'd like somebody who has some experience and some knowledge, like a structural engineer, to just say, yes, it might, or no, you don't have to worry about it. The other piece I'll just point out there, you'll see on there, on the right side, the third column from the right, you have a depreciated building value. And so those, just as a reminder, those building values run from 100%, a positive 100%, to a negative 100%. And so you'll see where the state tells us that some of our buildings are on that spectrum of value, if you will.
What is football storage? Is that the old weight room? Or the old locker room, or
What's that?
the football storage? Is that
Football
the old
storage
building?
area.
Yes.
Okay.
You also have, so Craig and I have been working on this possible project list. So you have in your packet a possible, it says Capital Projects Board Priority Brief. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to sort the various projects that we have talked about, either as a board or individually, into some basic tiers. Because one of the things that I would like the board to provide guidance on is how do we want to prioritize these things? You've shared with me, both corporately and individually, that you have some projects, you have some things that you would like us to work, like me, to work on, and at this point, we have to prioritize those. So you'll see we dealt with the primary foundation issues at MD. One of the reasons I want a structural engineer to come over and look at this is we are starting to see some other places at MD that are starting to creep up. I don't know if that's a result of the structural work that we did last summer, or if it's just more settling of that building because of all the stories that I've heard about the way that the construction process of that building, right? And so we could keep just patching it and saying, okay, we're gonna fix this now, we're gonna fix this now, but without having a holistic view of it, I'm not sure it's gonna be the most efficient and best way to do that. We just talked about the foundational issues at the junior high. We have district-wide ADA compliance that has been brought up on our facilities plan as well, or the walkthrough. I know we have talked about in previous meetings the secure entrance of the MD vestibule over there. We also have the baseball poles and lights, and you've got quotes where we have them right now. Softball lights replacement, the playground at the PES, that's later in the agenda. But that's an area. Ag barn electrical rewiring, right? So we've got a quote to rewire that ag barn. We've had a request from Joe to have that rewired because fans aren't working the way they need to, lights aren't working the way they need to. That's one of those things where, do we want to put $17,000 into that building if the board wants to do something else with that building? And so that's where taking this list and anything else that you want to add to it and saying, okay, our top priority is, so number one, this is what we need to do. Number two, this is what we need to do. Now, all of this is still swirling out there while the board has decisions to make around progress or how to move forward regarding a high school complex. And so I guess I'm putting this out there and saying we really need to spend some time thinking about how are we going to prioritize, what is that going to look like. However, I am sort of, I guess, jumping the gun because we really need to fix the elementary school playground. It's just, it's a tough facility for kids to use right now. So,
Are some of these, I feel like previously we talked about like the health department requiring some of these changes, the ADA compliance. I mean, obviously that stuff has to get done, right?
right.
So what about like, down here on the deferred for like the concession stand, the things like that, was that not a health department issue?
The health department would like us to,
Well,
they've written us up for cooking burgers outside,
okay.
and they don't like that. So that is on that's on the health department inspection.
Do they just want it like covered?
Yeah, in
So it can
essence.
still be outside?
It could have, but if we'd screen it in. So they want a covered roof and a screened in area.
Okay. So that's not really something that can be deferred?
Yeah, it's not, deferred is probably not the best word there. I think exploratory is a better word,
Yeah.
right? So the tiers are not necessarily, even though tier 1, it says safety and structural, obviously that's a big deal. 2 is facility upgrades, 3 being exploratory. There's not necessarily value that tier 1 has to be done first, but
Okay, I was looking at that
ADA
wrong.
compliance,
Okay.
right? We just tried to group them
I see what you did.
in larger groups.
I was looking at it as like this comes first, then this maybe, then. Okay.
That is completely up to the board.
Okay, okay. It's a lot, but it doesn't seem like they're like huge projects. I mean, they're-
So you already have a quote on this junior high cafe, is that correct?
Yes, to do the foundation work.
That's if it doesn't spill over into other problems.
That is just to fix that corner and raise that area. Now, it could fix it and we're done with it. But it also could create other issues, and that's where I'd like to have an engineer tell me, yes, it will, or no, it won't.
And at that point, have them look at, in so you can kind of.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
So that that ball is rolling.
We have quotes we have quotes on this, and if the board chose, hey, we want to get that done, then we could make that happen this summer.
So that was the next question. So we're going to wait until students aren't present to do this?
Yeah, we can't do it with students here. Because they've got to go in and they have to drill holes down into the floor about every 10 to 12 feet, put hydraulic pilings in there, literally raise up the floor. There's dust and water and dirt everywhere. And it'll be at least a month process. At least it was over here.
So we are or not still waiting on the engineer to come in and get involved?
I am. I do not have, what I've been told by Todd is that structural engineers don't mind looking at their own building and giving feedback on it, but it's hard to find a structural engineer who's willing to look at somebody else's building and say, this is what's going on, because they don't know how it was constructed. I've been assured there is somebody out there, we just gotta find them.
Was there one who looked at MD prior to the recent repair?
There was not, that I'm aware of. That project was started before I got here, and I kind of picked up in the middle and finished it.
So we're hopefully find one to look at both.
That's my goal. Now, since we're talking about it, at the same time, I've got somebody coming over, because one of my questions with the, I'm going to call it the hole at the elementary school park drive area was that constructed properly, or is that just sort of a sinkhole? Because it's not happening anywhere else up through there.
Yeah.
And all of that was supposed to be laid with 4 inches of asphalt. It looks like, at least in places, it was. I want to make sure that it all was, because if it was and it failed, the fix for that is different than if it wasn't laid for 4 inches and it failed.
It seems to be just getting bigger,
It is.
bigger.
But, so we've asked Bert Suggs to come over and take a look at it, because he does a lot of work for Todd, so.
Okay. And the ag barn electrical, you said Joe's asking about that?
Mm-hmm.
He's not asking for more, like a new barn?
Well, at this point, he's asking for the fans and the electrical to be fixed.
Okay.
What are we currently housing down there?
Primarily sheep. I can't tell you the exact number, but I know the number that I told him I wanted down there was 30-ish. So it should be no more than about 30 to 35 sheep. There may be an individual animal that's a kiddos, because sometimes we have some kiddos animals down there.
I didn't know if we had any cattle or anything.
Not that I'm aware of on site down there. So this is obviously something that we can talk about at our next work session, or if you want to have more conversation about it tonight, obviously that is within your purview. If there's something that's not on here that you'd like to see placed on here, please let us know, and we'll make sure to add it.
Have we checked into some type of, and Craig may know this, some type of like sponsorship, partnership, or something with like an electrical company for these like ball lights? Like,
Sponsorship as.
or like, like Craig had electric, I don't even know who we have, Energy, or which
Clay
ones are,
County.
where, Clay County.
Are you
which
talking about
ones
for
are
like the
which?
baseball and softball lights?
One of us, we're separate, right? One's Energy, one's Clay County.
This is all Energy. The elementary is Clay County.
Okay. Like with Energy to put up new lights or put up signage or something, some type of like, hey, look at us.
No, like, are you asking like if they would be willing to like redo our softball lights?
Yeah.
Baseball lights?
Like do we look into partnerships like that? Like,
I can ask, I don't know if they're in that world. I mean, I know Coach and I've gotten 2 quotes from people that are in hanging up 50, 70-foot poles with the lighting and illumination and all that stuff. I don't know if Energy's in that world.
I mean, I just, or any like, I don't know. I mean,
Like a grant, maybe.
Yeah, like
See,
something.
Never hurts to
Maybe not
check.
to that extent, but I am looking into, I told you guys a couple.
Well, that's what I saw, like maybe a utility program that
That,
maybe,
yes, because that's kind of what the hookup with, if you remember all of our thermostats.
yeah.
So yes, I'm looking at for interior lighting, not necessarily like standing lighting.
Yeah.
I'll ask.
I just wonder if it's like some, maybe like improved lighting or something that you could do with the electrical company. That's just a lot of money.
Well, one other thing I wanted to bring up too on the facility upgrades that's been brought to my attention by a couple of different parents and potential faculty member on the baseball, softball complex, especially the softball complex. What is the rationale as to why that softball field is so big? That is not a regulation size softball. And to me, it gives our girls a competitive disadvantage when the plan was forward. I mean, it's 280 feet into center field. Why was that field constructed so big? If that's the case, is there something we can look into on the cost of giving us a regulation size softball field? Because, I mean, I think that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. I mean, I know there's nothing wrong with the fence, and some people may have a problem with that, but, I mean, I think we're putting our girls at a competitive disadvantage.
Coach, were you here when they put in that, or was it already there when you?
That was, you know, I've been here 21 years, and it was here, from what I'm understanding, maybe the early 90s, mid-90s. So it's been here a while. I've never heard that question asked, but as I'm thinking about it, the fences are.
I mean, because even at the collegiate level, I mean, most softball fields, you might catch one that's like 225 down the line and 240 in center. That's Division I college softball. So being at a high school level, you have a 280-foot center field, that's just unheard of. I was not aware of that until I was talking with some parents and
Really, the only thing I've ever been able to learn about the softball field is it seems like it was put in a hurry.
right. Well, and that's kind of where I'm getting at with all the water issues and stuff. Like, I know these are areas that we need to address, but I'd also maybe like to take a bigger look about kind of maybe even revamping the whole complex situation to see what kind of cost might be behind that.
And I don't really understand softball and baseball much, but are fences appropriate, or do we not have, I mean, is there not a reason for a higher fence on the backside on that highway or that road? I mean, I guess it's appropriate. But I've heard talk about needing a different baseball fence on the backside.
To keep the ball from traveling
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Man, that's just casualty of war there. I mean, you can't put a 400-foot fence and then have it 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's
Comprehensive.
I agree. I think that if you're gonna focus on one thing, you need to focus on it all. Like, it's
Right.
not.
I mean, we can get more information about what it would cost to do a holistic remodel of that area. We can get individualized costs on what it would take to move the fences.
I mean, 'cause it's just one of those deals with $275,000 for lights is a lot. I know we just dumped the $30,000+ for the remake of the dugouts and stuff, but I just think there's, because of the water flow issues and all those things.
I mean, you're already looking, your concession and your press boxes are already in the negative on depreciation too. On softball is not, but the rest of the bathrooms, am I reading that right? Yeah, baseball restrooms, baseball concessions, and baseball press box.
But I guess from my perspective and opinion, from what you were asking about priorities, then obviously I would say the tier 1 things are stuff that we need, once we get the numbers and engineer involved, we need to get that going ASAP, as well as the vent hood situation, just since that seems to be a.
Well, I think that's so I'm going to ask that. I mean, does the board feel like the MD entry area needs to be addressed at that level? I mean, I'm really just asking for clarity.
I guess my question is, what's the issue with that?
It was brought up during the last board
It
walkthrough.
was our walkthrough.
Is it because of the side doors, Chris? Is that why?
They're what now?
The entry level being not secure, because the front door,
Well,
I mean, from this side, it's a visibility.
Well, what you have is the front door that we buzz them open from the office.
Right.
But once they're in, like, they're not inside. They can take off down the hall, so if somebody comes in there immediately in the hall with kids traveling, the thought was there's a center pole when you come in, kind of right in the middle, and we talked about a wall that connects from the office to that pole and from that pole to the other door. So you would come in that and you would be in a foyer that was still.
be more like Chris,
Yeah,
it's connected to the office.
You would go straight into the office, like it'd be a place for parents to come where even kids that were in the office wouldn't necessarily have to come in contact with whoever had come in the building, you know. And that way, if we're ever in any situation that we need the security, we can still have class going on with kids going from one class to the other, or restrooms where right now what you're looking at is if a person was to come in and we let that person in, the restroom is right there, you know, that's our main restroom with all the kids coming and going, so it would just be another barrier to get through, and it would be secure. It would also probably help us when that was originally built, there were double doors, there was other sets of doors there, so you kind of had something like that, you come in the outdoors, and then there was another set of swinging doors, and then you went into that, but they took those down for some reasons, and that kind of helps with your tornadoes and things like that too, because it's just another wall there.
I think the other thing you have to look at, though, I mean, keep this in mind, is that's not just an MD problem.
That's
You have
the
the
whole
same
district
issue here, you
and the high
have the
school.
same issue at the high
I was
school.
just
The
fixing to say
only,
that. It's-
the only building that has a secured vegetable, yeah, is the elementary, right? You gotta get through, you gotta walk, in essence, you gotta come through, then you've gotta be buzzed in, but when you walk in, you have to go to the office first, right? You have to talk through the window. That doesn't happen in any other building that we have. And so while this is important, is it more or less important than a secure entry at the junior high and a secure entry at the high school? Right? I mean, I think those are the kinds of discussions that the board needs to have on, yeah, we can do that with MD, and is there a need to do that at the junior high to protect our junior high students? What does that look like at the high school to protect our high school students? Because it's the same situation across all three buildings.
Which we have increased it with the camera system and so on and so forth on the doors, correct? Is there anybody that monitors it?
Yes.
Okay.
But the junior high and the high school, I mean, it's nearly impossible. I mean, when the kids are using the front door to enter the building, I mean, how would you do that? I mean, they have to use that door.
It can be, well, yes, they do have to use the door, but it can be done, right? I mean, you can create, I don't know how you would with what's over there, right? But you can create a situation where there are a double entry, and that second entry is either into the office or into the hallway, right? And so in essence, before school and after school, the doors that are open are the doors that go in and out of the building, right? Mm-hmm. There is a third door off to the side, let's say, that enters directly into the office. And so when 8 o'clock gets here, those two doors that go directly into the building are locked, and the only entry is to go in or to come in through the office. You can leave, but you can't come in.
Yeah.
Outside the office.
Like with the junior high, how would you get to the cafeteria if you did that? Would you be blocked off?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to, again, there's some major renovation that would need to happen there. Major renovation, I think, that would need to happen at MD, at the high school, if you're going to create those secure entryways in all three of the buildings.
How much are we like, I feel like years ago when I was in school, we were between buildings a lot. But like, we moved computers down here, like, what is the purpose of kids leaving the junior high being outside of the building if they're not going to the complex or to Agra?
We've got.
Maybe Spanish?
Yeah, Spanish, we've got a couple of English classes housed up there now.
Couple what classes?
English, we've got one that teaches in 12th grade, and it teaches like an 9th and 8th grade.
So why do we do that though? Like, why are we not keeping?
Well, that's an efficiency piece, right? If we're gonna, in order to have a full-time English position, you've gotta, we fill it with what we need, and what we need is, in that case, senior and freshman, right? Otherwise, we're paying, in essence, we're paying someone, instead of having 130 kids, to teach, let's say, 105 kids, and then we're coming down here, and they might be close, because the junior high is closer to full than the high school, and so now we're paying teachers down here because if we're going to keep those kids down here, then instead of having 25 kids, you're going to have 28 or 29, which means I'm going to have to pay you for above your 150. Not a big problem. But then I know board members take phone calls about class sizes being too large, which means now we would have to hire another teacher, but we've got space to teach them up there, so why wouldn't we just teach them up there?
So is that where we could take advantage of some of this Arkansas virtual stuff to kind of keep,
You could. One of the things that we didn't talk about is for every kid that goes virtual in that program, they're going to keep our money. So they're going to keep 1/7 of $8,000, and they're going to send it to whoever the provider is. Now, if we can establish where most of our kids are going through Arkansas virtual, then we can keep the money, but we'll just have to pay the $300 fee for that kiddo to take a course. So it's financially advantageous to us if we can develop this relationship with Arkansas Virtual. We're still losing, $300 a kiddo per course, but it's $300 a kiddo per course and not $1,000 a kiddo per course.
yeah.
Back to this list.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a timeline on the ADA door compliance? I mean, do we have to do that by a certain time? Is that a audit that brought that up?
They haven't really given us a timeline. They just say you have to do that, right? So I think it's one of those things where I feel like if we're making progress, and when somebody shows up and says, last year you had, I'm making something up, last year you had 25 doors that weren't ADA compliant. This year you have 25 doors that aren't ADA compliant. You're not making progress. We don't like that, right? Last year you had 25. Now you've got 10. You're making progress. Keep it up. I think that's kind of
So it'll be one of
Haven't
those.
made any progress this year with that.
we haven't really addressed the ADA door compliance at this point.
Okay. So
The way we
can
need
make
to.
some progress with that.
We do need to make some progress with that. We haven't, it's not on here, but if the board decides not to do anything or to do something different with the high school that retains the cafeteria, we're gonna have to replace that elevator over there. And that's not cheap either. So, there are some things out there that are dependent on some of the other decisions the board will need to make as well.
Okay, but you have junior high doors that need to be brought up. I mean, those can be worked on?
Could.
Okay.
So what do you want us to do with this list? Do you want us to just kind of look at it
Well,
at the work session kind of?
I think that would probably be the best thing, where we can kind of sit down and just say, okay, let's go through these one by one and say, okay, if we do this, then, can we combine this with something else? What is the priority?
Is there any chance on some of these TBDs that we can get some numbers attached to them between now and the next work session?
On some of them, probably,
I was thinking
yes.
some of the ones that are less complex, maybe the vent hood and then
Maybe the floors.
possibly the floors or even, I mean, I know the MD vestibule thing might be much, but ADA door compliance, like Jeannie was just bringing up.
We can get some, I
Picking out
think,
a couple of the doors and going, hey, here's an example of the doors need replaced, how much?
we can probably get some numbers.
Yeah.
We can work on that anyway.
Now, some of those doors were attached to like the choir building too, right? They were wanting ADA doors going into those separate buildings. Do y'all remember?
Yeah, I mean, basically, any door that you see that doesn't have a crash bar needs to be replaced.
Even exterior buildings like choir, ALE, all that stuff, okay. Which we had talked about not doing because we were gonna build a new.
Right,
So it's not so much a width door space, it's the type of door that's
Right.
in. Okay.
yes.
I feel like that should be a,
Which I can say we have made some progress because we have redone all the handles of so what was that? Last year, we went through the entire junior high and replaced every one of these handles. Like, I know they'll look like it, but even the handles on this door are new. What we had was your old style knob. And so now everything is a interlocking handle, which means when the door closes behind me, it automatically locks.
so with most of the doors that were not ADA compliant, do you have an idea like how many of them were just like this situation where we gotta replace that stuff versus replacing the whole door? I mean,
Yeah, as far as the actual,
Actually, that-
as far as the actual, what you call the actual door, the frame itself,
Yeah.
wouldn't replace it. It was literally just going in and replacing
but
handles.
the ones we currently still don't have done, is that what it is primarily, is just replacing the handles?
Correct. Now, if you get up to high school, they may talk to you about the style of door being, wooden or whatever that is. Now I'm talking about fire things like that. But back to ADA, yes, I mean, that would be next on the list, and that's the vision is getting these. We've got all of Chris's building, under the same grandmaster. And then again, a lot of that stuff hinges on the high school because of decisions we have to make right as a board. And then, of course, Sean is relatively new over there, so.
Are the majority of the ADA issues at the high school, just door wise?
Now, going back to, I think, probably you're talking about door two, would be what I call our exterior exits of getting a automatic opening. But as far as handles goes, getting the classroom, we are up to code as a.
And that's the reason why I ask, is, I mean, once we make a decision, I'd like to think they can show us a little bit of grace, because I don't want to spend, $50,000 replacing doors on a building we plan to tear down in the next 12 months or whatever.
And is it like Pandora's box, like if you start it, you have to do it across the building?
I would say so. I'd say, yeah, I mean, once you get into that world, we're gonna become client. I don't see them allowing, now, Courtney probably be a better, bounce out on it, but I don't see them saying, we ain't just do half of it. Maybe it is hey, we are progressive, we have plans to do this now. And later, I can tell you, replacing these handles was a chore, it was expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but the rest of the buildings that need to be ADA compliant, you'll get some sort of quote on what needs to be done?
Yeah, we can work on that. Yeah.
And then I have a question on the softball light replacement 1 week. Do they need replaced like now, or it'll take 1 week to do this? I mean, is that?
It'll have to be after season, I believe, right? After season.
Yeah, no, they're all working and functional, and just the fact of they're getting on their later life and be switching over those LEDs, which is essentially what everybody has.
So they still work, but the baseball ones don't?
The baseball ones do now.
They're rigged up though, aren't they?
It's not something I think we want to continue to have, because of the placement of the box, things like that. There's a lot of overhead, lines, things like that are very outdated. All those poles are wooden. I know there's been concern in the past that they should be blown over, or, any kind of issues we may have weather-wise.
But they have lights for the games for this
Mm-hmm.
season?
Yes, ma'am. But it did take some doing to get that going this year. Again, what we have is just talking to code enforcement like that. Yes, y'all are good right now, but we need to start. We need to look to the future, getting rid of some of this outdated electrical wiring and the way boxes are located.
I haven't had any more games where the lights went out this season.
No,
Okay.
no, you've got the boxes are up to the wattage that those things are pulling now, so we should be good to go.
And Jeannie, I did try to get somebody in here last year to inspect those poles. I got a hold of Energy and they got me with a individual who will check Entergy's poles, and they refused to check our poles because they said they no longer inspect private poles. They only inspect public utility poles. So I can't even get somebody in here to look at the poles to say, you know,
They're definitely weathered.
yeah.
Well, and it's just the overhang of the wiring too is not good. So you
Okay,
want us
so
to look at it?
we'll bring back some additional information to our work session and kind of dive into that at the next work session. The other informational item I had, now I do have, we need to purchase some fuel. We did put out a call for fuel bids. Given the fuel prices, I would like, and the volatility of them. So for instance, I have bids that if the board wants to see bids, I can give them to you, but the bids clearly say they may not be good tomorrow morning. Right? So even if we accept the bid may change, and so I'm giving you that information because of the volatility of the market right now. What I'm after is I'd like to make sure that with the board's permission, I'd like to try to be a little bit more nimble, and so rather than purchase 7,000 gallons right now of diesel fuel at either, you know, $4.41 or $5.20 a gallon, which is what our bids are going to be. I'd like the board's permission to try to be a little bit more nimble. We'll order as much as we need to kind of get us through over the next, you know, few months, and then kind of come back. Now, the reason I'm getting this on the record is because the auditor may come back to me next year and say, well, you know, you ordered $25,000 worth of fuel over a 1 month period, right? And you didn't get board approval, but it's because I'm going to do it in maybe 2 chunks where, you know, for $10,000, I don't necessarily need the board's approval because by policy, you've already given me that. But if the auditor says, look, when you add this up, it's over 25,000, you didn't get board approval, I want to be able to point back to the board minutes to here and say, no, the board was aware that we're trying to do that. We're trying to order smaller batches to be a little bit more nimble to the price, because what I'm trying to do is we're trying to save the district, you know, in essence, $7,000. It's going to cost us about $7,000 more to buy what we asked to bid than we paid back in November.
Do you want a motion to that? For, you know, just in case, or?
It wouldn't hurt, but if it's going to be on record either way. And all I'm doing is exercising the ability that the board has already given me in policy.
Right.
I'm just making us all aware that if I do that in smaller chunks to be nimble, I could, in a month or 6 weeks, rack up, you know, the 25,000, which by policy does require board approval.
Okay.
So you want a motion?
Sure, let's do that. That'll be good.
Need a motion to approve, to plan to purchase fuel in smaller batches.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, old business 8.1, this is the secondary construction management. You have the previous board has talked about this. I have printed out versions of the requests if you want to look at them. At this point, it's really the decision for the board, as I see it, is really one of 3 things, okay? and if there's a fourth, you'll have to share with me because I just don't see a fourth. The three items are to, has been conversation about removing or rescinding the board's approval of our primary construction manager, which was Nabholz. As I shared at the last board meeting, Nabholz has assured me that there would not be any financial ramifications on the district if the board chose to do that. We would just, in essence, you'll be charging me to work with Nabholz under the confines of the already signed contract to get out of that contract. We can do that with, I think it's like a week or 30 days notice. I've already confirmed that they're willing to do that. So that would be one. Number two would be to continue on the path that was originally designed, which is we have a primary in Nabholz, and the goal of this role was to define a secondary and a tertiary. So who is number two and who is number three in the event the board chooses to move forward with a high school project. The third option would be to just move on with Nabholz. I mean, you have the ability to just say you're happy as a board with what we're already doing, and the intention is to just move forward. And you kind of, in essence, table this indefinitely and don't come back to it.
Well, I'll start and I'll say that I'm sticking by what I said at the last board meeting. This is an entirely new project. I say we rescind the contract and start fresh. That's just where I'm at.
I agree.
Is that a
Are you
motion?
making a motion?
I mean, can we have open discussion about that?
It's fine with me. I just didn't know.
That's right. I'm just letting you know where I stood, so I wanted to kind of have other.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I don't know, I don't have any information about Nabholz. I didn't put them in the pot.
I mean, neither did I. I mean, all those previous construction conversations happened when the previous school was built. None of that was brought to any boards that I sat on, so.
So going back, we'll have to go through this process again, correct? If we're starting over?
Well, I would say you could retain these and open it up again because.
Well, we discussed that because there was a couple that we thought might have put something in, but it may have been because it was listed as secondary.
Not primary. And that was my concern, that we missed out on some people interested because that was the way it was solicited based on the condition at the time. I understand, but that's just where I'm at. I think we're going in a different direction, probably, so let's just start afresh.
My problem is going through the process.
So now we'll make a motion to rescind the contract of the primary construction manager.
There's a motion to rescind the primary contract, or the contract of the primary construction manager. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second to rescind the contract with the primary construction manager, Nabholz. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Now like I say, we'll go back and put it out there for bid again, and
So you'll set
You know,
that
it's
as
primary.
listed as a primary.
Yeah. I'm sure these guys are already, I mean, they've already expressed
That's in the same
interest.
thing.
Yeah.
I think they don't have to do anything more.
Too, though, we're gonna do this, list it next time. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, whatever top 3 or 5 list y'all wanna do.
well, I mean, like I say, that's what I thought we were doing in the first place, that we were gonna go to them first. If they couldn't match a price, then we were gonna go to number 2 that we needed. So however y'all want to set it up.
What timetable are we looking at for?
Well, if we're to get the information out there, I would say, since I can get it out tomorrow, next week is spring break, so I would say if you give it 2 weeks to get them back in. So theoretically, we could have it for the work session. I think that'd be doable.
I guess will you just contact these people back and say that we're putting it back out? Is this the same material they want to give us?
It
Or-
is, yeah. I'll
I'm
check
sure
with
it
them. It
is,
will
but,
be,
you
but
know.
yeah. And then I'll let,
Nobody can come back and say, well, I didn't know you redid it.
right, yeah. And I've had individuals from these companies reach out and say, hey, where are we at? You know, is there any movement on that? And I've shared with them that's where we're at, so.
So since the next step is a work session, is that something we can just discuss next up? The next step to that is we need to start discussing the project and how that's gonna look going forward.
I think that's gonna be part of what, I mean, when you interview, when you get to the point where you're interviewing your top 3 or 5, that may be a question that they have.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, we need to get together as a board and decide what kind of project we want to do.
So are we putting the cart before the horse on putting the RFQ out? Or should the project be discussed before the RFQ goes out?
I think I mean, that's up to the board. That's up to the board. You know, I will say I'll remind the board, the deadline that you have to meet is a November of 26 deadline. And the November of 26 deadline says construction has to begin. Now, construction has to begin can be defined as we're under contract with a construction management company.
So I mean, I would think we need to have a discussion of the project before we start opening up and saying,
Well,
hey,
you know,
we need somebody to build.
you know, it's gonna depend if we build, you know, a $25 million building or we build a $15
Well, I mean, it'll
million
make a big
building.
difference.
Because one person may be more qualified to do one
Yeah.
than they are the other. I mean, to some extent, I think we need to get finalized exactly what we wanna try to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that the primary, I'm gonna say right now, the primary 2 topics for the work session are gonna be facilities related, right? The high school facility and the prioritizing of
The
the
list.
facility list.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like, I feel like that can be paused right now, just because what are we gonna talk to them about? I mean, you know,
I think we need to have kind of a plan in mind, you know.
Or maybe you need to have multiple plans.
yeah. Because I mean, some of this construction on the list could go, I mean, the list of facilities, I mean, there may be more than just a high school building. So,
And you may wanna have that in mind as you're listening to the presentations.
right.
Because you could also have multiple contractors.
You could.
Maybe a
Projects,
different
right?
one doing
I'm just saying,
smaller.
for instance, if you did a baseball softball complex, you know, one of them might be more geared towards doing that, so you want them to do that project, but you want.
Or the vestibule at MD Williams.
Right.
you know,
Whenever
something.
building the new high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which those smaller projects would also open the doors too, because there's other companies out there who could do the smaller projects that can't do the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will bring that, that will be the agenda for the work session, the facilities list, and the high school project scope. Okay, any other questions about any of that? All right, our first action item is the monthly financials. So you have in your packet the monthly financial summaries. Your first document there is the board report. The board report is typically presented. This is the or the comparison of 25 to 26, gives you a little bit of idea of where we were and where we are currently. We have some of our areas, like for example the catastrophic. That is money that will be provided back to us, and it just hasn't happened. The alternative learning, we will move money into that to cover. So you may remember that we have our categoricals, our ALE money, the ELL grant, the ESA, and the professional development. We will move money out of ESA to cover that, because our ALE program does not obviously pay for itself. So you've got that, a couple other things. You've got red, obviously, in the federal money, because that's money that is kicked back to us. Feel like we're in a good spot at this point of the year. The second one is the revenue summary, so you have where we were at this year. I try to give you the year-to-date revenue as a percent of the budget for this year and the previous year, so you can kind of compare where we are there. We are, again, we're pretty similar. We're a little lower on the feds, you'll notice. Our Fed revenue is at 38.5%. Last year at this time, it was roughly 59%. That is just a function of the feds sending the state and the state reimbursing the district. Overall, we're a little under revenue where we were last year, but not by much. You see, this year we're at 69%. Last year we were at 70, almost 70.1%. And then following that, you have the expenditure summaries. Again, same thing. I try to give you the year-to-date expenses. You'll see, and I think I pointed this out last time, you'll see that the 1001 is, the percentage is quite high. That is because of the bonus that we gave in first semester at Christmas. It was planned. I didn't know where that was coming from and how we were paying for that, but it is going to show up in this budget as a pretty high percentage. After that, you also have the activity report. You have the check registry that we provide, and then the summary status report, as well as the foundation report. Obviously, if you have any questions, be happy to try to address those. Otherwise, we would just need a motion to approve the monthly financials.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the monthly financials. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Next action item is the redoing the playground. Craig can speak specifically to that if you have any questions or you'd like to hear more. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to fix that playground surface. If you haven't seen it, water runoff causes some big issues out there. It's a muddy mess for the kids to play in the spring, and we've put mulch in there that I'm aware of 3 times. Sean, is that right? Mulch in that area 3 times over the last 3 years?
We put it in the entire semi-truck last year, and then partially the year before.
And in essence, it washes away. So we need to do something different. We have 2 quotes, one from Swift and one from Davis. You have those in your packet. We are recommending Davis Playground due to the coverage and the detail within that particular quote. Craig, anything that I missed or anything specific you want to say about those 2?
What these quotes are is essentially it's turfing. What we would call the play area over at the elementary, obviously. I will say just one quote, and you're looking at the prices, right? One quote is essentially for both sides. The other one did not quote me for both sides. I'm not sure why. That was a conversation we had. So I say all that to say the reason for the recommendation on the higher quote is because if you look, that's for 17,079 square feet of playground area. If you really want to get in the weeds on it, you're essentially getting more too, because there are codes and things about you have to have for fall area, and the recommended company is actually providing more gravel, sand, those things for the fall area, especially around, I think it's an 8-foot fall height that the recommended company is offering, where the other one was a 6-foot fall height. So essentially you get more gravel, more sand, more things to put under to make it safer for kids, especially if they're swimming. So that was their big concern, having that 8-foot fall height. But again, really to break it down, you are looking at square footage, price per square foot with the recommended company at around $12.61 to turf that area versus approximately $16.85 per square foot. So there's your difference per square foot of what you're getting with the recommended company versus whether, and again, the additional, you're essentially getting more material to make that fall height an additional 2 feet.
Are they gonna, they're gonna ensure like the erosion around the playground is not
So,
an issue?
so kind of to help out the numbers, right, they said, you know, where can we cut back? That's kind of the conversation we had. We've got a tractor, we're gonna get with Rick to go ahead and remove what engineered wood fiber is left in there, which is not very much. Kind of in that quote, it talks about, we do have some, what they refer to as 12-inch timbers, which are actually just those plastic things that kind of divide up the area. So we're gonna pull those up and utilize those. While he's out with the tractor and when you dig down, because there are some French drains, from my understanding, on the west side. You should be catching that. Talking to Ben Declerk, had him out there under the assumption, and with both of these companies, that engineered wood fiber, the dirt has essentially clogged up those French drains. Get those out, unclog those, and then go back and fill appropriate, you know, the SB2, the sand, things that they're gonna put down before they lay out this pattern.
So it shouldn't be an issue once they clean it up and get it fixed?
No, because I mean, again, you gotta think about it, it's gonna be a turf surface, think about a turf football field, right? It would have to be a substantial rain for it to hold water, and still you are allowing that stuff to seep down through the padding, through, you know, again, 6 to 8 inches of sand, gravel, all that, and then eventually get down to that French drain to run it back out. So it will help tremendously. And you're gonna have a safe, level, fall height area for kids to run on both sides.
And they have plenty of time to get this done over the summer?
Yes.
So just for, so it's of note, we're operating on the assumption that Swift would be double this price because they only quoted us at the playground.
That's my assumption, and again, just based off what they quoted me, they're, you know, $4 and some change higher per square foot, with less material that they quoted on the inside.
It's basically do this or buy all the kids rubber boots, correct?
Well, that, or you can go back with about, the quote's not in here, but it's around that $55,000 range to just turn around and reapply engineered wood fiber, which is what we've done over the last 2 or 3 times. That's just causing the same old issues over.
Yeah.
This would be a permanent fix.
Yeah, I believe it's got the recommended company has got a 10-year warranty, which, put my football hat back on, that's about what you're gonna get out of a football field turf. And that's something you're practicing on for 3 months, 4 months, playing, you know, 1 night a week for 10 weeks. This is gonna have kids on it, so I would expect 10 years is probably gonna be the life expectancy on that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions?
Just need a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to accept the Davis Playground bid.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept the bid from Davis Playground. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so 9.3, we have the district policy updates. So we have 3 policies that we're asking the PPC is asking the board to look at. And these are policy changes that I am also supportive of. You'll notice in the sick leave policy, we are adding in son-in-law and daughter-in-law to be covered under bereavement leave. We're also adding a statement that bereavement days are non-cumulative and are required to be used within 30 days of the date of death. It's not, I took it out instead of highlighting it, but what we're removing is we're removing the phrase that says 3 days without loss of pay or loss of sick days for the purpose of attending the funeral. That's what the policy used to say, for the purpose of attending the funeral. And in working with PPC, we felt like that was a little bit too restrictive because, you know, if someone close to that teacher, that employee, were to pass away, let me back up. The original intent of that, why it said that, was the idea was if father, mother, grandmother passed away in Mississippi, why 3 days? A day to drive down there, a day to attend the funeral, and a day to drive back. That's why it said, as to the best of my knowledge, that's why it said to attend the funeral. Well, if the funeral's on a Friday at McNabb's across the street, the policy didn't really allow for 3 days. I mean, it allowed for 3 days to attend the funeral, and not necessarily 3 days for grieving, if you will. This policy allows for the 3 days for grieving. However, it does put in some accountability that it would have to be used within 30 days of the death. So if a family chose to put off or to schedule, if you will, the memorial service, and it was outside the 30 days, they wouldn't get bereavement leave, they'd have to use sick or personal leave. And part of that is in there because, and I was presented with a situation of, a family member died, my sister can't be here for 8 months, and so we're going to push that out 8 months. Would I get my 3 days? 8 months after the fact, right? And so, as we had conversations with PPC, we decided to go with this. I will say this is also reflective of other school districts in the area. This is reflective of their policy as well.
So can they choose to use their 3 days if they don't have a funeral?
In essence, there's no,
that week,
yes.
hey, I need 3 days to just have myself.
In essence, under this policy, the answer is
Okay,
yes.
okay.
But under the previous policy, that was not.
Under the previous policy, the way I interpreted it, it clearly said to attend the funeral.
And the reason why I asked this, because this has been brought to my attention as a board member on 2 different occasions that the district was not allowing 3 bereavement days for employees because the funeral was local.
And let's be transparent. In this instance, it's not the district, it's the way I interpreted the policy. And the policy said to attend the funeral.
So if that's been done in the past, that would no longer be done going forward based on the policy changes.
Correct, yes.
We
This supports,
That we approve.
Yeah.
this supports the idea of, I lost a family member,
I
I'm
need 3
grieving,
days.
I need 3 days, they can take up to 3 days.
And anything after that, it's not necessarily that they can't have days, they just may have stipulations. Days available or PTO or.
What that next line says is it says that if you need more, each individual must request additional days to be sick leave, personal leave, or leave without pay, or a combination of those. That was what the policy said to begin with.
Is there any flexibility in here? Because I know you want to try to do things to the letter of the law. These are very specific instances, but there are family member situations out there where aunt or uncle are the ones who raised that person, and that's who they see as a parent. Is there going to be some leeway in that?
So
Because
I'll give you this instance. There is a possible situation where the person who is who is terminal, who's in the family, might pass or is going to pass, would be the second spouse of my step-parent. Right? You track with me? So my parents get divorced. I have a step-parent. My stepdad marries my mom. My mom passes, my stepdad gets remarried, and that person is, in effect, the grandparent to my kiddo.
Yeah.
Right? That's not covered in here, but I feel like the policy is more generous now and allows me, as I'm interpreting that policy, to say, yes, we're going to allow that. Now, this policy does allow for a request of, is there some way to document that family connection, right? Whether it's through an obituary
and that's where I'm asking.
or something.
What I don't want to do is take the human element out of this, just so we can cover.
I think this policy does that. The
Not that I
previous
can
policy,
advocate There's too much. I want it in black and white. We continue to take the human element out of the equation. So I just want to make sure that there is a human element involved.
I think there is, because we're removing for the purposes of attending the funeral. If you want to do it all at once, you've got this classified sick leave policy that mirrors the certified policy. So there's no difference there. And then we are asking to bring together, so the jury duty policy for classified was slightly different than the jury duty policy for certified. The jury duty policy for classified employees actually said that employees who receive, in order to receive their pay from the district, they have to relinquish any stipend they get for jury duty. That wasn't in certified. So I'd like to take that out. Classified is in agreement of that. If we take that out, that brings the certified and the classified policies equal. That makes them equal, and nobody's losing anything.
I'll make a motion to approve the district policy updates.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve the district policy updates. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
9.4 is the annual memorandum of agreement with the Arkansas Children's Hospital. This is an agreement that has been in front of the board each year that I've been here. This does allow the district to work with Arkansas Children's Hospital to provide some services. Courtney, where's Courtney? Is there anything you want to share about that with the board?
We have about 9 students who benefit from this, and this year they scheduled 4 visits. Our next one is in April, but we've had it every year. Our needs have just kind of increased, where we used to just service 1 or 2 kids, and now we're up to 9.
So in essence, the reason you're seeing this is because that contract fee agreement of the $775 per day, in order to have this service on site and enter into this agreement, it would need board approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the 26-27 years contract.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the 26-27 years contract. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
We have several items for deletion on our fixed asset list. We're requesting deletion of these fixed asset items due to being worn out or outdated. You have the list there that include the plasma table, the wood shaper, and multiple school buses. So we're asking for permission to delete those from our fixed asset list.
Are you going to be requesting a new bus? Are we buying a new bus this year?
Well, Craig and I were talking about that earlier
That's a lot
today.
of buses. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes. Here's your question.
Okay.
A new bus or new buses?
Well, at least a new bus, because right now we're in a situation where we have one of our buses being worked on. Short version is one of the 2 travel buses we have is now being used for route daily, and so we're having to take the older bus that we were using as our school bus, which is our handicap accessible bus that we just purchased, to switch out in and out with our girls and boys spring sports when they go on the road somewhere.
If we need to, get to. It sounds like
Because
we're
it
running
still
tight
takes like
now.
a year to
Well,
get
that's
the
still like
bus,
we're
right?
doing like a lot of double route stuff too.
Have we ever looked at buying
That
a
has to do
Greyhound
more with
like the
bus
other
drivers.
schools? Like, you know what I mean? Like Highland has like a sports bus.
Right. I don't know that would necessarily help us as much for the mere fact of, we're sending these buses out on travel routes, but like, for example, with the situation we have now, is thankfully we have another Bluebird bus that we're able to throw on a route, so that's not doubled up. I mean, we could look at that, but now you're just essentially saying that is just gonna be, and my concern would be that is, who gets that? Is it a constant, is volleyball or football? Are we switching it if around the same time who gets it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think you fall into some of those situations and conversations. There's been some conversations when we picked this one up over spring or over Christmas break. The guy did float to me what it looked like on leasing buses. Think that would be more of a solution to having like a rotation 3. I can follow up on what all that entails as far as pricing. The way I understood it was like almost a lease to own. Every 3 years you can buy it now at the value of said bus after you own it for 3 years and put X amount of miles on it, or you can essentially pull those back and you're getting 3. But at that point, you're renting, you never own, right? So that leads me down a road of what is the longevity, what's the lifespan of our typical route buses versus the, with the $170,000 price tag that they're currently at versus the value of what are these things costing to rent per year, and then essentially weighing our,
Because the leasing has perks too, right, as far as
Exactly.
financing.
Right. The question is, some of the things that I would have to answer is if we rent one, what does that look like? Kid gets in there, what we have to about the liabilities on that. So those are some other questions that I would need to answer before I bring anything like that to you guys.
Do you know what the timeline is on getting buses delivered now?
They're anywhere, I would say if we were to probably jump on it right now, I would like to think they would, push them and say, hey, we need this thing by August 1. We're going to be able to put kids on August 13th, whatever the first day of school is. Now, if you wait until, June, I would be shocked if we had that thing.
Because I feel like one time we waited like all year. Was
It
it
was
for
over
the
a year.
handicap bus or it was, we waited
Yeah,
a long time?
because obviously they've got to do modifications and things like that. 2 to 1, I think we got over Christmas break. You literally got over Christmas break.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the route we want to go, and I'll encourage us to start
Looking at buses.
looking at
That's
this.
something we need to add.
Because that's a lot of buses to get rid of. I just,
I think that's just easy enough. If you want us to look into purchasing 2 buses, then that's just, I'm gonna have to go through. I know we've got declining enrollment money. That's typically where I look at first because that's one-time money that we get, but because we have declining enrollment, we get that one-time money a little bit every year. So, I do know we looked at it enough today that I think we could very easily buy 1 bus. Like we could say, okay, we're gonna get 1 bus today. If we're gonna look at a second bus, then I probably need to run some of our year-end financial numbers. It might be better to wait until July when our new fiscal year rolls over. And that would be something I need to
All I'm
look at.
saying, just don't run ourselves out of buses.
Right. Well, I was just meaning too, not just the purchase, but he was talking about the lease versus purchasing,
yeah.
just to see.
Maybe just
That's-
kind of get an idea.
That's up to the board.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Now
Okay.
the lease was just for the like sports buses, correct?
No, all
We're
buses.
talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. as much as as many miles as we're putting on them and
I would just like to
It
see the
makes
numbers.
sense.
I don't know what that hurts, just in case it's a more viable option.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Especially if you get some numbers on like how much it's costing to keep our buses running on a yearly
How many
basis.
years we're getting,
Yeah.
such miles.
where are all these buses sitting? Out back?
So if you go down there, you will notice, wow,
It's
this is
great.
bigger. So we've actually gotten 4 out, and there are 5 sitting up here on the hill that we cannot bring down because of the rain we had last week. They tried to run.
Do they run?
No.
Okay. So we're getting on records and, yeah, okay. That's a lot of buses.
I make a motion, for the deletions of the fixed assets.
Second.
A motion and a second for the deletion of the fixed assets. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
The next item for action is the school year 27 calendar. You have that in your packet. This calendar has gone through both PBC and classified PBC. The calendar is more of what I would call a traditional calendar, very similar to what we've done in the past. You will notice just a couple of things that are different this year. With this calendar is we complete professional development in August. There is a day off in essence, and then school starts the 11th or the 12th. So there's a day with no students and no professional development going on the 11th. We have parent-teacher conferences looking a little bit different next year than we did this year from the standpoint of it would be ending the day early, like at 1:30, and then hosting conferences for 6 hours until about 7:30 that night. That would be both in October, and we'd replicate that again in March. And then every 6 years or so is the absolute best year for a calendar. The 26-27 year falls into that category because Memorial Day is on May 31st instead of the week earlier. So that meets all the qualifications that PBC and the teachers have, which is 2 weeks off at Christmas, a week off at Thanksgiving, Good Friday off. You'll notice Good Friday next year will be on March 26th, and then out by Memorial Day. So we are asking for approval of this calendar. Do I know?
Wait, Good Friday's on spring break?
Yes, ma'am. Easter is on March 28th.
Well, that doesn't help any. What kind of support did you have for this calendar? I mean, I guess obviously enough to bring it before the board, but.
Well, certified PPC voted 8-0 after having some conversations. Specifically, the junior high had some concerns about the calendar, but the concerns that the junior high had was around the early release Wednesdays. So you'll notice there down in the bottom right corner, the intention is to, on any week that is a full week. So for example, if we look at the week of September 14th, that's a full 5-day week. The intention would be on that Wednesday to have an early release at 1:30 and allow teachers to meet in collaborative teams every Wednesday that has a full week. Now, if you go up to September 7th, that's 4 days that week, so there would not be an early release at that time. Junior high teachers had some concerns about the early release, and we answered their questions, which was specifically around were we getting enough hours in the school year? There were some other smaller concerns about the work day. There was a comment or conversation around, you're asking me to come 10 minutes or to start 10 minutes earlier to stay 2 hours longer. And we tried to articulate that right now the contract day in essence begins at 7:30. Our principals all expect our teachers to be in the building by 7:30, and then class starts somewhere around 8 o'clock, right? So what we're now saying is teachers would be expected to be in the building at 7:30, and then students would start classes somewhere between 7:45 at the elementary school and 7:55 at the high school and junior high. So we're not asking teachers to be here longer. We're not asking teachers to really do much different in my perception, other than provide them for 90 minutes once a week with time to meet in collaborative groups. That is one thing that right now when we do that, we have to get subs and take teachers out of the classroom. And so we take teachers out of the classroom, put a sub in the classroom, and expect instruction to happen at the same level of having a certified teacher in that classroom. And subs, there's nothing wrong with this. Subs cannot provide the same level of rigorous instruction that our certified teachers do. So, you know, it's been batted around like we need to make some changes to improve our test scores. We need to make some changes to improve our grade level at our buildings. And these are the kind of changes that I think need to happen in order to give teachers the support that they need to be able to be most effective. We do have a plan. We're not sending kids home to unmanned houses. Kiddos can stay if they want, right? And we will hold kiddos for another 90 minutes, and because we still need our paras and our classified staff to have a full contract, a full schedule. We're not sending adults home at 1:30. We can use those adults to help support our students who do stay from 1:30 to 3. Not all of them will. Some of them will, right? More than likely, the younger ones will stay and the older ones will find a way to leave. That's just human nature, right? And during that 90 minutes, we can do more remediation, we can do more enrichment, we can do more, right? So I look at it and I think it's a win-win. PPC, I think they got to the point where they were supportive of it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have passed out of certified PPC 8-0. And classified PPC was also supportive.
So just for clarification, on Wednesdays, the students will be released at 1:30, but the teachers will be required to stay on campus and meet to address
It is still,
educational concerns.
their contract day still runs from 7:30 to 3, or 7:30 to 3:30, depending on which building they're in.
What was the biggest opposition that you say was against this calendar?
From a reason or from like
About
opposition?
standpoint.
I'm not sure I could answer that. I mean, I can only give you what questions were asked of me at PPC.
Okay.
And that had to do with not sure the math, if you will. And so I worked PPC and I worked through literally math problems on the whiteboard showing this is how we get to the 1100.2 hours. We have to have 1,098 hours on our calendar, so we're only 2 hours over. Last year, this year's calendar, we were 3 hours over. So, well, I guess 4 hours. This year we were 5 hours over that 1,098.
So how does that work for snow days?
We say same way it works this year, as long as we have, in essence, 5 snow days or less, we'll be okay.
I think I'm just surprised this calendar was, I think I just heard of talk of other, enjoying, liking the other calendars. I'm just surprised that this one's the one that they chose.
There was, what people seem to like about the extended calendar, they also, it was like, I'm trying to remember. Tracy, do you remember that conversation? Because I know you were.
The extended calendar, none of, or the majority of the teachers did not like coming back so early. And the bulk of the staff was who created this calendar. We sent it out to all teachers and asked them what they wanted most. And this one was by far the higher rated one. I tried the non-traditional. Dr. Arnold and I discussed the extended calendar because the community come to me, but there's just not the reception for it. We're the one ready to wanting to look at that. So this by far outweighs everything else.
One of the things we did talk about with the extended calendar is, I told you, this is the absolute best year for a calendar. Because even the extended calendar didn't go too deep into June. But I cautioned PPC about adopting the extended calendar for only a single year. I felt like if we owed it to the community, if we're going to adopt a different calendar, a radically different calendar for our community, then I think we needed to have some commitment that this is going to be the calendar moving forward. And that may or may not have turned some folks off too. Because again, next year, when Memorial Day moves earlier into May, right, that means the extended calendar is going to go deeper into June.
Right, yeah. Any more questions? Any motion to approve?
I just want to, you're going to have a solid plan at dismissal, and, I know we talked about how everyone can't leave at the same time, but we won't have kids in the hall, how are we going to keep control on that? Because I can see that being a headache from the school between 1:30 and 3 o'clock, whenever which way, not knowing are they checked out, are they not, are they supposed to leave, are they supposed to stay?
Right.
So what's the plan there?
Well, I think a lot of that is going to be building specific, right? The plan at the high school is going to be different than the plan at the elementary school. I think the plan at the elementary school and MD is really going to be centered around, how many kids do we have, breaking them up into smaller groups, and then using that time to, a lot like we do with our 21st century after-school program now, where they're in smaller groups, they rotate around experiences. The vision that I have in my head is we break them up into smaller groups. We have 30 minutes on, for example, maybe ELA, 30 minutes on math, and 30 minutes on in a gym or a playground, just letting kids be kids for a little while. That's sort of my vision at the elementary and the MD. I think that vision looks a little different at the junior high and the high school.
So the principals will own that?
Yeah, we'll collaboratively build that schedule.
Now, other schools, and there was some talk about doing it in the afternoon versus the morning because of learning focus and things like that. The other schools start late, right? Like, I think Maynard does a late start, Walnut Ridge does a late start.
That I don't know. I know there was quite a bit of concern out of our classified PPC with a late start. I know junior high, that is one of the things they would have liked to seen was a late start instead of an early release.
I don't know, you're gonna get more out of my kid at 8 in the morning than you
Well,
are
see,
2 in the afternoon.
that's part of it. The other part is our breakfast program, right? I mean, we have kids that eat lunch at the elementary school at 10:15. So if you come in late and you're not feeding breakfast until 9 o'clock, 9:30, we don't have the manpower and we don't have the time to roll out of breakfast into lunch an hour later.
Yeah.
So, when we were having conversation about late start versus early release, our classified PPC, there were,
Yeah.
Victoria was very adamant that would be very difficult for her staff to pull off.
Okay.
Do you have this labeled as draft for a reason?
No, that's just what I called it initially.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you needed us this is the final?
Yes,
Okay.
we're presenting this as the final calendar for board approval.
Anybody have a motion to approve the calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026, 2027 district calendar.
Anybody want a second? I have a motion and a second to approve the 2026, 2027 district calendar. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
All right, you have the certified and the classified salary schedule for presentation. The both salary schedules mirror one another in that they both add a loyalty stipend and a years of experience stipend. So this is, just to remind the board, this is phase 3, what I'm calling phase 3B of a 3-phase process that we started my first year in the district. The first year, phase 1, was the $50,000 increase starting teacher salary. That was required out of LEARN, so that was, then phase 2, we worked on the athletic stipends, the activity stipends. We also worked on our classified staff salary schedule to bring the bottom of that, the floor of that, if you will. This time we want to add, last year we added the fully certified stipend and the education stipend to certified staff. This year we'd like to add the loyalty and the years of experience. What that does is it completes that 3-phase process, and it gives administration and teachers 5 different levers going forward that we will be able to pull and manipulate based on what the board would like to value, what teachers would like to see valued. As a reminder, this maintains, at this point, our, I'm going to call it our position. Pocahontas now pays starting salary $50,500. That is more than any of our neighboring districts. These additional levers will allow us to start working on, I mean, it does provide additional dollars to our most experienced teachers, provides additional dollars to our teachers who have been loyal to Pocahontas. So for instance, if you have been in the district 30 years, then you're getting $1,000 for 30 years in the district, and you're getting an additional $1,000 for experience. Okay, that's how that tracks. You can see in your board packet that this is a overall increase of $143,000 to our operating expenses for salaries and benefits.
This is getting added, the teachers that were already above the 52,000. The years of experience is getting added to that too, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The other thing.
The math all works for you?
The math all works for me.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The other thing we're going to do, and I'll put this out there so that if teachers have questions, when I came into the district and we began the LEARNS Act, we froze those years of experience so that we didn't move up and down on what was the salary schedule at that point. When we do this and we unfreeze that, all those teachers are getting, because we've been collecting that experience, right? So if 3 years ago I was a teacher with 15 years of experience, when we unlock this and we do this experience and loyalty stipend, then I'm going to get 15 years plus the 3 that I've been banking. So now I'm getting 18 years of experience.
So whatever bracket they fell into 3 years ago, they're going to get that plus whatever bracket they fall into now.
Yes,
Okay.
in essence.
So back pay.
Yes. Well, consideration, right?
Yeah.
They're getting credit for that.
Okay.
For those years of experience that they have been collecting.
Okay.
And then we are, and I know Victoria's not here, but I'm going to share one of the things that happened historically in, for example, our food and nutrition department is you started out, let's say you started out as in the kitchen and you were gaining years of experience. Let's say you were there for 5 years, right? Then you became a manager. Well, the way we were working that before is when you became a manager, your years of experience started over. And so you started back at 0 because you didn't have any years of experience as a manager. The way I look at that is I feel like the years of experience that you spent in the kitchen before you were a manager should be valuable. And so we're going to go back and pick up those years as well, because it's both experience and they were in the district at the same time. So we are going to do that for our ladies in the cafeteria. We have some school nurses who were in that situation that didn't necessarily get experience credit for the work that they did out in the world before coming to us. So we're going to pick that up. So my intention with this is to sort of, if you will, make everybody whole.
Catch up.
Yes.
Okay. Have you got any in your PCC meeting, or what is it? PCC. Any negative feedback about it?
There was some conversation in classified PPC about about separating the steps. So there was conversation of 0 to 5 is a big step, right? So as a classified person, I have to be here for 6 years before I'm going to get any money. And so the idea was they wanted to take a look at maybe that was 0 to 1 was $0, and then 2 to 4 was $100, and then 5 to 7 was $250, and so on, to sort of spread those out a little bit. And then we continue to have conversations, and really what I shared with them is really what they were asking is they didn't want the loyalty stipend or the years of experience, they wanted to add it to the base, right? Because in essence what we were doing was, and I'm going to try to remember the numbers, but under the model they were proposing, every classified staff member would get a raise except 12 people. It's like 93% of the classified staff were getting a raise. Well, to me, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Let's take that money and put it on the base. But as they had more conversation over a couple of days, they realized that in doing that, I mean, like to your point, right? The pie is only so big. So either we can give out the slices this way, or we can add a little bit to everybody's slice. And what they realized is over time, if I stay in the district and I gain experience and I am loyal to the district, I'm going to earn more money this way than if I let these levers go away. So that's really the key piece is in doing this, we're adding 5 different levers that now if PPC wants to come back and say, you know, okay, we want to really value the individual who's here from 6 to 14 years, right? We're going to value that step because we really want to keep those. That's when we're losing people. Then we can target that additional resources. Right now, we don't have a way to target it. We also talked about in certified PPC, there might be other levers that we want to add. You know, we have, Courtney's gone, but I'm going to share, we have like 3 special ed positions available right now, and we have 1 special ed applicant. Right? What would it look like if we said, if you hire on to Pocahontas for special ed, we're going to give you an additional $2,000? Right? How many special ed teachers might come to us and say, hey, if I can get an extra $2,000 just because I'm certified in special ed or math or physics?
Like a high need.
Yes, we could add a high.
Where are we at now on the starting on that?
On
The paras and the speds and stuff. I know
on their salary schedule?
Yeah, it was low.
Right now, a paraprofessional starts at $17,800.
I still think, you know, I've heard a lot of teachers, you know, they value their help tremendously. And it's hard to retain them like that.
And that was the conversation. We could have added $346 to the base of every one of them. But I can't do that. Numbers don't work to do that and add the levers. And so classified PVC, they spent 2 days hammering that out. We probably spent a total of 3.5, 4 hours with them just kind of talking about what they wanted to do. And they finally they wanted to go ahead and add these 2 levers.
Need a motion to approve the salary schedule for certified and classified?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve salary schedule for certified and classified. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so while we're on salaries, let's talk about the BRTC Career Coach Grant. Under the grant for the 27 school year, there is a new required combination total. So previously, I believe the combination total was $50,000. Under the new grant, the requirements will be a combined total of $60,000. So we need to, in order to retain our career coach, which we feel like is a really valuable program for our high school in particular, we're going to have to increase the salary anyway to meet that required. I did go through and I looked at, just like I've done in previous phases, right, as I gathered Paragould, what's Paragould paying, what's Sloan, Maynard, Corning, Hoxie, what are they paying? and then I looked at the average, right? I'm looking at how do we did that with our coaches, we did that with our administrators, we did that with our as I've kind of looked at all these stipends, how do we just get to the middle? I'm not trying to get to the top right now. I'm just trying to get out of the bottom, if you will. So the average gets us to a combined total of 55. No, that's current. You'll see there at the bottom, salary 47.5, benefits, the combined total of 64,530. That does meet the $60,000 combined total. Our district portion, we have half of that. So our district portion is 32,265.38. In order to do that, I'm asking for approval of the that career coach letter. I'd like to send that to BRTC. In that letter, it does articulate that we agreed to fund 50% of the career coach's salary at $47,500 plus benefits.
So this letter will still have to be approved by Black River, or?
Black River will include it as a part of their grant.
Okay.
And then they'll submit the grant to the state. The other 50%, to your point, the other 50% is paid for by Black River with the grant.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the career coach letter of support. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Just have a few district informational updates this evening. I wanted to point out, we're watching our enrollment pretty closely. Current district enrollment as of March 15th was 1,804 students. The reason I bring this up is, as board members know, enrollment's an important number because that helps to determine our foundation funding for the following year. Currently, our funding is based on previous year enrollment. There is talk, and I'm wanting to make sure we're aware of that, there is talk at the legislative level about moving to a current year calculation. I do have concerns about what that would do, but obviously the only thing we can do is advocate that not be a direction we go. The reason that is because we wouldn't be, right now, we can set our salary schedules, we can set our contracted amounts because we know what we're going to be funded on next year. If we're doing current year, we would be having these conversations. You would be asking me, Brent, if the math works, and I'm going to have to say, I think so, but I'm not sure. We won't know until October 1. That's going to be dangerous for us. So that would be something to kind of keep in mind. Sean noted the third grade promotion. We're spending a lot of time and effort right now on our third grade promotion, elementary school staff. You heard Sean talk about parents or working with parents pretty closely to ensure that they're all aware of the requirements. We've communicated with them from various aspects. We have our level 1 kiddos. We know where they're at. We're working to help them improve. We're sending materials home with parents, encouraging parents to help kiddos at home as well. That third grade promotion this year is a requirement of learners. And so there are good cause exemptions, and we'll be looking at those exemptions for kiddos to be able to move on. But I wanted to bring that to your attention as well. A couple other things. You've got, I'm providing, there's been some conversations, some questions about what are we doing to improve in our classrooms. We have been running through coaching cycles since November, and so I wanted to give you just a one-page synopsis. I'm going to have a larger report for you at a future meeting, but a one-page synopsis on things that are worth that are happening in our classrooms that are worth celebrating. You can see there that we have a lot of good things going on, multiple teachers, strong bell-to-bell learning climates. Now, this is not me saying this. This is coaches from our co-op, specialists from our co-op, coaches from the outside organization that the state has sent to spend time in the elementary school. They are the ones noticing these glows and grows, if you will. So you've got there on the top, that list, we've got, several classrooms that have robust classroom management structures. It goes on to say, our next challenge is consistency across all classrooms, that we have high quality classroom management structures happening in every classroom. And high quality evidence of teachers differentiating through small group instruction. You'll notice though that at the bottom half of that, where do we have some work to do? And I've been working with principals to walk through this. It was noted most students aren't being asked to think out loud. What that means is the kiddos who are responding in class are the kiddos who are volunteering to respond. And we need to do a better job as educators in pulling the information or giving kids the opportunity who aren't necessarily volunteering to give that information. So that looks like what we would call random response strategies, ways in which we ask a question and then we have a random response generator, whether that's popsicle sticks with a kid's name on it, or it's on the computer and you hit the button and it spins and then it pops up with a name and that kid's the one answering that question, right? Those are the ways that, those are some of the ways that we can do that. We're not consistently checking whether or not students have learned. So we're having conversations about what does it look like to do multiple formative assessments in a classroom. We know that we have to do, the younger the kiddo is, the more formative assessments we have to do in a classroom because of the ability to have an attention span, right? And so what does that look like? What does launch look like? Exit tickets for assessment. How are we gauging learning? How are we using those exit tickets to guide instruction? We also are talking about, we have learning targets on the board, but we don't always have kids interact with those learning targets. And so what is it that we're building into our intentional plan, our intentional instructional plan, to help kids interact with those objectives? We've got some fidelity issues with dyslexia. Courtney and I are looking at dyslexia offerings for next year, and we are probably in a future meeting going to bring to you some suggestions for dyslexia. And then principals really working with teachers to strengthen our small group structures during instruction, making sure that we're making use of all of the resources in our high quality instructional materials in our curriculum, if you will. So those are just a few things. I also wanted to point out that Victoria brought to my attention a contest that would provide funds to pay off our student lunch debt. The board may or may not be aware that at this time, student lunch debt is around $30,000 for the district. Okay, that is how, and we can't not feed kids. If a kid walks up and says, I want to eat, we're going to feed them. And so Victoria found this contest, and it actually awarded money to an Arkansas school district a couple of years ago, and their only goal is to pay off the lunch tabs for kids. And so she is submitting this on our behalf, trying to help us help kids and families in our community pay off that lunch debt. Those are just a few things that I kind of wanted to share. Obviously, if you have any questions or anything I can answer for you, I'd be happy to.
Are those being for all the schools that you just read, or is this primarily just the elementary?
No, this is the information comes primarily from the elementary and the junior high, but in talking to principals over the last couple of days, I think we all agree these are issues that are systematic in our district. Yes. Okay. If there's no questions, then
Need a motion to go into executive session?
you actually don't.
I don't.
You can
Okay.
just say the board is going to break for executive session.
Break for executive session. back in session.
We've got personnel agenda, so recommending accepting the retirement of Kelly Evans, Nancy Young, Holly Toney, Christina Conway. Also recommending accepting the resignation of Brittany Booth as PES para effective February 20th. Rachel Wise, PES self-contained, effective May 27th, and Angie Smith, the junior high sped para, effective February 26th. Also, we'd like to transfer Brittany Bridgeforth from the PHS secretary to the district HR payroll role, effective July 1.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the employment and transfers. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. We need a motion to approve.
The catastrophic request. We need a motion to approve the catastrophic request.
Motion to approve the catastrophic request.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes. We need a motion to approve your contract.
If you're going to make any changes to it, like if you're going to add a year or,
So-
anything like that, the answer would be yes. If you're not going to do anything with it, if you're just going to leave it the way it is, then the answer would be
Can I make a motion?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the superintendent's contract with an extension of 1 year.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve, it's hard when I'm doing that. To approve the superintendent's contract with the extension of 1 year. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0.
You have the student transfer list on there, as always. You also have the reasons for those student transfer requests. They have been approved, so you don't have to vote on those.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.